Hey everyone, it's Laura. Today I'm reviewing Silver Shadows, which is book 5 in the Bloodlines series by Richelle Mead. It is the spin-off series of Vampire Academy, if you did not know. If you did not know, and if you have not read the first 4 books of the Bloodline series, I would suggest going ahead and clicking off this video because there are going to be spoilers if you haven't read it. I will try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. For the 5th book, I won't try and spoil this book at all for anybody, but if you haven't finished at least up to book 4, there's going to be spoilers. So I'm just warning you. So I reviewed this one. The review is up on the blog. The full review is up, but I did want to talk about it as well. So I will link the review on my blog below, so definitely go and check that out. There's 1 book left after this one. And rated this, it's a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So this one to me had 5th book syndrome. I think any series, as you start to get towards the end, you're starting to kind of wind up a couple of things but still leave some loose ends for the last book. And I think that is definitely what happens in this book. However, I just feel like this one was a little draggy. There were definitely some parts where I was kind of like, okay, you know, come on, let's get going here. Even though it was like the rest of her books, you know, very action-packed, there was something happening literally on every page of this book. I just felt kind of like we were just stuck in like one place a lot. So at the end of book 4, which I think book 4 is the fiery circle, book 4, we see Sydney captured by the alchemists and she is being sent to re-education. And she was betrayed by not only her sister Zoe, but her father as well. And while she kind of expects that, I think, of her father being an alchemist, I don't think she expected it from her sister, and I think that this is really sad, and I'm curious to see how it ends. Sydney's relationship with her family, like her mom and her sister, her older sister Carly, they're all fun, but I'm curious to see how things go with her dad and Zoe. So she's in re-education. So we have Jill and Eddie and Adrian and the gang back in Palm Springs, and Sydney is in re-education. And being the Sydney that she has become, that we know and love, she is not giving up anything to the alchemists. So she is still kind of in solitary confinement. She's being drugged. Adrian tries and tries and tries to get in touch with her through spirit in her dreams and can't. So he's getting discouraged and falling back into old Adrian ways. And that is pretty much what a majority of the book is. Adrian partying and drinking and not getting in touch with Sydney, and Sydney trying her hardest to thwart the alchemists and get out of re-education. So that's why I feel like the book is a little stagnant, just because there is so much of Adrian drinking and partying and so much of Sydney just kicking in the re-education center. So yeah, I feel like, I mean, we've seen Adrian drinking and partying since back in Vampire Academy when him and Rose were kind of a thing-ish, and I'm just kind of sick of it, I guess. I think he made so much progress with Sydney in the Bloodline series that it annoyed me a little bit to see him kind of falling back into his old ways, and for so much of this book to have done that. And I think it was more that she just didn't know what to do with Adrian to keep him from getting to Sydney right away. I think it was more of, okay, well, what can we do with Adrian to give Sydney time in re-education? Well, let's make him, you know, suffer from spirit again or start drinking again. And so that's what she did. So I think that was kind of just like a keeping him busy type thing. Because in re-education, Sydney, of course, kicks butt like she does throughout the rest of the series. I mean, the Sydney we started out with back when she was cleaning up Rose's messes in Russia and everything, to the Sydney today is just, I think out of anything this series has to offer, I think just the growth in Sydney's character is what has made me love this series even more. I mean, Sydney is definitely, I would say, one of my favorite characters of all time, out of any book, out of any series. I think she is freaking incredible. The fact that she's in re-education, and this is something that has been pretty much like threatened her entire life. You know, if you misstep, if you do one thing wrong, you're going to re-education, they're gonna erase your memories and they're gonna brainwash you. And so it's something that's always been held over her head, and here she finally is in re-education because she's having a relationship with a vampire, which is just such a disgusting no-no that she has to go and be brainwashed to, you know, basically not be friends with them or be in a relationship with a vampire. And because of her actions in the past couple of books, learning magic and getting ink, basically enchanting ink and stuff, basically anything that they do to her in re-education doesn't work. And being the Sydney that we know and love, she finds ways to make sure that other people are kind of immune to what they're doing and getting people to trust her, which obviously these are alchemists and they're looking at her like she's just this abomination because she's in a relationship, not only a friendship, but like a physical relationship with a vampire. So they don't want to trust her. I mean, they think she's, you know, don't go near Sydney, like she's horrible, and if we align with her, it's gonna make us look bad, that type of thing. So she goes in and she's trying to earn people's trust, and she's trying to, you know, get people together and get the alchemists together to fight against the higher up alchemists and overthrow the place, which she does, and she does well, but unfortunately she gets caught, which I knew was gonna happen. Like that part of it, like I just knew was going to happen. But luckily, Adrian was able to get his, you know, head out of the bottle and get in touch with her through her dreams. So they were able to work together to get Sydney, you know, where she needs to be. So I'm just gonna touch on a couple of my likes and my dislikes. And again, the full review is up on my blog. So I'm just gonna kind of touch on a couple of things here. The writing style, same throughout the whole series. I love it. I think Richelle Mead is a great storyteller. I don't think there was anything stand out or, you know, worse about her writing in this book. I think it was pretty standard for her writing. But the things that I liked about it, I really love the relationship between Sydney and Adrian. I definitely feel that, you know, there is true love there. I think that they are a great pair. I think they will make it in the end. I think that they will set the precedents for the future. Whether the alchemists change, I don't know, but as far as, you know, vampires, dampiers, and alchemists or humans interacting, commingling, whatever, I think they're going to set the standard and things are going to start changing now because of them. The book did end on a cliffhanger. There were kind of two a little bit. There was kind of like a little bit of a cliffhanger between Sydney and Adrian and their status, their relationship status at the end of the book. Kind of surprising. I don't really think I saw that coming at all. So kind of interested to see what happens with that. And then there is like the definite huge cliffhanger that I didn't see coming. Like I knew there would be a cliffhanger, but I didn't know exactly what it would be to carry over for the last book. But this was quite a cliffhanger, so curious there to see how things go, because if you have read the series, you know there's huge unrest in the court as far as Lissa being the queen and the whole one living relative thing. So there's still tons of, you know, animosity and stuff floating around court because of that. So that is kind of where the cliffhanger is, you know, the cliffhanger is revolving around. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Something else that I really love about this book, and I did touch on it a little bit at the beginning of the video, is how strong the bond of friendship is between Jill and Angelina and Eddie and Sydney and Neil and Adrian. You're in this world where, you know, vampires and alchemists are really not supposed to mix, and they really don't anywhere else. A couple of cases maybe here and there, but the alchemists went to education and they were cured, but they don't, you know, it's not like that with them. Like, they are true friends. They are there for each other. They'll fight for each other, and I really love that aspect of the book. I think that just their loyalty is awesome. It's incredible. So I love that aspect of the book. And another thing that I really love, I think there's a lot of diversity between the characters and lifestyles that Richelle Mead writes about. Besides just the, you know, the vampires, alchemists, dampiers, humans, etc., etc. I think there's just such diversity. I think each character embodies themselves so well, and I think every character has their own voice and personality, and I think that comes through so wonderfully on the pages of the book. I'll end on this like for the video. Sydney's magic. I seriously love the fact that she became a magic user and that she is so much more than she ever thought that she was. She thought she was just an average person, and she became an alchemist because that's what her kid does. And you know, she didn't know that she had such power inside of her, and it's this magical power, and I love it so much. So I can't wait to see what the last book brings for Sydney and her magic. And then I'm just gonna touch on a couple of dislikes. There were not very many dislikes for me for this book. The one thing, like the main thing that I absolutely disliked about this book, obviously, is the Re-Education Center and the Alchemists. I think the Alchemists are complete assholes. I think they're jerkbags, and I think that they need to just kind of disappear off the face of the earth because they are cruel and inhumane, and I hate them, and I hate them, and I hate them. So, biggest dislike, Alchemists. Another thing that I didn't like, and this has been a couple of books now, is actually I think it's been this whole Bloodlines series, if I remember correctly, how Adrian hears his aunt Queen Tatiana's voice in his head, and she's kind of evil and kind of whispering in his ear all the time, and it's not always good stuff, and I don't know what that's about. So I'm really curious to see if we find out why he hears her voice and what the purpose of it is, because I don't know. I haven't liked that aspect of the book at all from the beginning. So I think that this definitely was a good book. I think it was a great addition to the series. I think I wish that there was a little bit more in the book as far as, I want to say it shouldn't have been dual narration between Adrian and Sydney, but at the same time, I think it would have lacked if it wasn't. I have a big problem with multiple point of views, which seems to be kind of what's becoming popular lately, especially in fantasy. But for me, fantasy, it doesn't bother me as much, but I don't know, for some reason, it's just not my favorite. But I think, like I said, in this one, I think it would have lacked if we didn't see both of Sydney and Adrian's point of views. But at the same time, I was just kind of bored. I was just bored with it. I really was bored with Adrian's parts a lot. And there were parts with Sydney that I was bored too. But I do think that this was a great book to the series. I think it definitely tied up some loose ends, but it's still leaving a lot open for the last book. I have the last book on request. The last book is The Ruby Circle. I'm in the hold list for the book from my local library. So once I get that, I'll be reading it as soon as possible, and I'll be reviewing that one also because it's the last one, and I'm so sad. And I honestly think I would not mind if she wrote like a spin-off from the spin-off. I really think I would be fine with that because I'm not ready to say goodbye to these characters, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to this world. I love it so much. So that is my review for you guys. If you liked it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. See you guys in my next video.